Segment tonight, as we reported last Friday and as Governor Scott Walker mentioned yesterday in Wisconsin, federal union workers have little bargaining power because of the Civil Service Reform Act signed by President Jimmy Carter in 1978. So, is that a major problem for President Obama going forward? Fox News analyst Charles Krauthammer joins us now from Washington. So you were around back then, you were in D.C. back then. Why did Carter and the Democratic Congress want to diminish the federal power of the union?
Because like Governor Scott Walker of Wisconsin, a lot of other governors in the states, they wanted to have control of their expenditures. And there's no reason why a sovereign government shouldn't determine a level of taxation and determine a level of compensation, particularly for the federal government, where the civil service protections, which have nothing to do with unionization, are so strong that the federal government would have no trouble competing for labor without unions having any power. The civil service protections are there. You know, if you go to work for the federal government, you've got a lifetime of protection. You've got protection from arbitrary firing. You're going to have good benefits over time. So that's the deal. You don't get union negotiating powers as you would if you were a steel worker.
Okay. Now, I said that all this week that Governor Walker should compromise on this issue to get it done by saying to the union workers, listen, we'll protect you through state law, but we can't allow your union to run roughshod over our fiscal situation here. That's a compromise, just as you pointed out, that if you're a federal worker, you are protected through the law, but not through the union. So certainly they could do that in Wisconsin, right?
Well, I don't know why it would be a compromise, because Wisconsin historically has had very strong civil service protections. In fact, that is part of the deal.
Give them one more.
You go to work for the government, you have the kinds of protections a private sector worker doesn't. And the compromise is you might get less in wages, but you are protected.
Okay. But if you just give them one more and say, look, we'll make this part of our state law, and then you don't have any beef or whatever. I think they're going to have to come to some. How do you think this is going to play out? Look, it's a civil war now. As we said at the top of the program, public seems to be divided on it. Polls are all over the place. How do you see it coming out?
Well, I'm not sure I know, but I do know one thing. If the governor of Wisconsin and the Republicans cave on this, it'll be a historic cave. Walker's career is done. His power as governor is done. He's only been in office a few months. He may not have thought that this was going to be the great issue of his term. He may not have foreseen that it was going to become national, going to become epic, but it is, and he's in the moment. I think he's right. I think what he's doing is saying, look, I can get a give back that'll last a year or two, but that's not the problem. The problem is a generation of a cozy and corrupt arrangement where unions are supporting, helping elect the politicians who then negotiate the cozy, sweet contracts. That can't continue. The state is going bankrupt, and in the end, it robs the state, the county, and the city of the services it needs, because if you pay exorbitantly high wages and benefits, you're going to end up having to slash the services that the citizens need.
Okay, but the union people say we don't make exorbitantly high. They make $1,800 more than their peers a year in the private sector, according to USA Today.
But
so
look at the benefits. But they get it all in benefits, and they were paying almost nothing on pensions and paying a quarter of what the private sector worker in Wisconsin is paying on health. There's no doubt about it. And in New Jersey and other states, the corruption is right there for everybody to see. Bill, Democrats are supposed to be the ones who are in favor of progressive taxation, of the richer helping the poor. Here we have a case where the average worker in the state who pays higher pension, higher health benefits is subsidizing somebody who pays less.
All right.
That's regressive, and it's not what Democrats are supposed to stand for.
Charles, thanks as always. Pinheads and Patriots in a moment. Entertainers getting paid